Oh, week. Hello. Hi. How are you all? So, I am going to do this first, and then I'm going to record the Hermit spread. I kind of want to use the SKT for that. I kind of want to use the Mystical Dreams Tarot. I guess I could use both, but we'll see. We'll see when I get into it. So apparently this feeling, because I had more dreams about it, but I don't really understand it. It's because it feels like it's some weird, and I put it in the comment. Hey Casey, it's been a minute. How are you? I put it in the comments of that last video, and it's some weird time loop, time something, and it's also like we're not saying what we're not saying. It's like both. I'm like, what is this? Because it's almost like there was something that was done in the past that put us on track for something to sort of unfold at any moment in time. And it's like we've forgotten about it. But it just like all of a sudden it's relevant again type of energy. And I'm like, I'm trying to remember. It was like, it's like this dark, light, dark thing that I don't know how to describe it. Your birthday is Wednesday. What? Oh, happy early birthday. I'm doing pretty well. I have vacation in a week. I'm excited for. And yeah. Thank you for asking. I'm feeling like actually rested. I kind of want to sleep more, but I don't think I can. See, Justice, the Six of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups. I feel like it's the Queen of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups, the Six of Pentacles, and then Justice. Like, I feel like there was something in the past that we did, that we gave to, that we invested in freely. And it queued us up to receive something. But it's just like it hasn't been dispersed yet. I am going, honestly, I don't even know. I have a few buddies who are going to be here for like a few more months. They're both sort of moving on with their lives. And they were already going on a trip. And then they invited me to go on the trip with them. And I'm supposed to be like helping plan things, but planning is not my forte. So it's all still kind of TBD. But it's happening. So, because I'm the type of person that's like, oh, we'll find whatever we find when we're there. Like, no need to like whatever. Like, it'll all work out. Like, that's me. And if I just stay in a hotel somewhere or an Airbnb, I'm fine with that too. See, the bottom of the deck is the Magician. Yeah, there's something. And the Ten of Pentacles is under the Magician. Thank you. Enjoy your birthday. And that full moon, that super full blood flower moon. Yeah. I'm like, what is all this stuff? I don't know. It's so weird. Maybe it's just been forgotten about. Because I know even when I woke up, it was like, you're not paying it, like, we're not seeing how this is going to sort of come to fruition or how it's going to play out. But when I went back to sleep, and I feel like I can almost remember how it was shown to me, but it doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't make sense because it does make sense. It's just very hard to communicate. And maybe it's some like timeliney something or another. It's like we sort of set ourselves on a certain timeline, but for whatever it was, again, it was like time delayed. But all of a sudden it's going to come back, or it's going to work out, or it's going to come to fruition. It's like if there was someone that you knew a long time ago, and they were like, you made not like a deal, but you talked to each other and they were like, you know, let's say that you supported through something that they were establishing. You were supporting someone with something that they were establishing. And they said that, oh, you know, like when I get big, or like when I make it, or when this happens, then I'll remember you. And you're like, oh, it's like nice. And it's not that you didn't believe it, but it's just like so much time has passed that you may have forgotten about it. But then all of a sudden one day they were like, hey, like, do you remember what I said? And you were like, not really. Like, what did you say? And it was like, oh, I said this. And it was like, oh, yeah. And then they're like, oh, well, you know, here's your whatever. And you're like, oh, wow, I didn't expect this type of energy. It's like something that you were there for. Like you gave something in this situation that had a certain result, but it's coming in later than you thought or something. I don't know. It's very hard to communicate. It's something like tiny like that. But it almost feels like I don't know. Hangman in the Tower, Page of Swords, and the Hangman. Oops. Let's see what this weekend's calendar thing is. So this week, oop, girl. Oh, okay, it's right there. So this weekend we have National Maritime Day today. Tomorrow is White Sunday. It's a Pentecostal holiday, I guess. Let me actually grab a different pair of readers, because this text is kind of tiny on the side. Oop, oop, oop. Oh, gosh. And my light isn't as bright as it could be, because I'm trying not to, like, wash out the stuff in the camera. Yeah, so National Maritime Day is today. White Sunday is a Pentecostal holiday tomorrow. Oh, this is just photo credits. It says during a 4-hour watch on U.S. Navy ships, a bell is struck once after the first half hour. After each subsequent half hour, the number of strikes increases by 1 until 8 bells are rung when the watch ends. 8 bells. This is interesting. Honestly, it's giving me... Maybe that's what it is. It's a little bit of like vibes from Miss Remy Pisces, and it was about like cosmic contracts. But with these 8 bells, it feels like there are these 8 sort of different pieces that all sort of needed to line up. And there was something in the environment that also needed to happen. And that's why this thing was delayed. It's like you do your part, other people do their part, and then once the time is right, then it's like the unfolding begins. And it's like, you know, this is something that you've already set in motion. This is something that you've already sort of put in the work for. This is something that you've already participated in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And with this past, like, I don't even necessarily know if it's like this incarnation, maybe? I don't know. But I know what I want to do. And I got... Oh, yeah, that's true. So I'm going to grab one of these, actually. I got the SKT with me today. So I'm going to grab one of these, and then I'm going to put 8 cards around it. Why can't they just do 4 bells? Or 2 bells? They could do a bell every hour. They could do a bell at the beginning and then at the end. But there is also an energy. Oh, it reminds me. It's all that inadvertently stuff. Whenever that day was, I'm pretty sure it's in the title. It's like, oh, you're doing this inadvertently, and this is happening inadvertently. It's like it's the energy of things that sort of needed to be done or things that were supposed to have been done by someone, maybe an ancestor, maybe you, maybe it was just a mysterious condition that somebody needed to fulfill in the world somewhere. And you being on your journey doing what it is that you do, you just so happen to also fulfill this. And so now, because this has been fulfilled, whatever was promised with that is also going to be rewarded. But it may not be something that you're like aware of. And that's why it's like so surprising. That's what it was. It was all this inadvertent stuff. It's like you're inadvertently doing this. And that's what this 8 bell sort of feels like. Even though like some of it may be more intentional. Or like, but it feels, again, it's more like you're intentional about one thing. But in the fulfillment of that, or somewhere along the way, something else is satisfied. And you get the reward for that being satisfied. Also, 8 bells, there was one of the I Chings in the ISK one. It had to be this one. Because these two were double thunder, and then this was double heaven at the top. It talked about beware, like the 8th moon and the 8th month and some kind of deception or something like that. I don't know. And it's reminding me of this 8 bells. I'm not going to take that, but the convalescent, the 4 of swords, this is the space where death is going through some kind of process. And the angel is in the window watching. This also came out, I think, in ISK 1. Because it was at some point when cards fell out between setting out the initiate, the seeker, or the keeper. And it was like this angel was outside trying to help us with something. And then like the actual angel card popped out. So it was like she's getting closer, or she's like, I guess you didn't hear me. Here I am. And I don't remember what it was. But I do remember she was getting closer. Because first she showed up in the window. And then she just showed up all together. Oh my gosh, look, there she is. Yeah. And it came out with the Necromancer. The Moon card. There's something, I don't know, girl. Always take it as it resonates. Always. Because it's like she's in the background, observing maybe, watching your healing process. But not only your healing process, your process of transformation and your ability to transform that which is without. It's in part by your internal transformation and also in part by how you show up in the world. Right? You can be changed on the inside all day long, but if you're walking, if you're talking, if the way that you navigate through the world doesn't really change much, it's not that the internal transformation hasn't happened, but it's like you're not necessarily anchoring it into your like experience. And so through the moon card, the necromancer, then we see the angel. And it's like, wait. And it kind of reminds me of like the veil thing. Right? She's on the outside of the veil now. Some mysterious thing happens with the necromancer. The necromancer, brings dead things back to life. It parts the sea of, let me just read it. I wonder if it's in the little white book. I don't think so. But luckily I have my iPad right here. I got this book of maps on like everything. I love the book of maps so much, honestly. I love this deck. I love the SKT. Shout out to Benabel. Hashtag one of my faves. What? My bookmarks didn't carry over from my phone? Oh, come on. That's why. We're looking at key 18, the Necromancer. So, Together, Key 13 and Key 18 endow the initiate with shamanistic powers to traverse the underworld, over the realms of the dead and the undead, mediumship and spirit summonings. Key 18 teaches how to navigate the threshold of life and the threshold of death. When Key 13 appears in a reading, listen to the mental echo of the subconscious realization from Crowley. This is the moon of the Magi. Oftentimes it can mark the dark night of the soul, or having to pay closer attention to your dreams. A waning crescent moon, the moon of witchcraft and sorcery, appears at the zenith point of a spiritual crossroads. Appears at the zenith point of the skies. A scarab flies close, symbolic of eternal life, divine teachings, and a spiritual crossroads. Twin stone pillars symbolize a sacred gateway and a mystic passage into the unknown. A cutout window in one pillar suggests the eye of spirit watching over. In the foreground, two jackals, which the initiate will visualize as being of contrasting colors, face each other. The crescent moons on their armbands are reminiscent of the headdresses of the two sphinxes in Key 7. Anubis, the Egyptian god of the dead and afterlife, is associated with the jackal. The necromancer's arms are outstretched, bringing into form a cubic stone. It is the occulted interior of what the emperor manifested in the first septenary. Only now are the hidden inner facets of the cubic stone revealed to the initiate. The necromancer parts the mystic sea from the great salt sea of awareness, and in doing so, reveals a path that leads to twin swans, who guard yet another path. This one, the initiate can intuit, leads to the Holy Grail. The necromancer's back is turned to the path, to show that senses beyond the physical are needed in this quest. In the Compendium of Spirits, it is only the embodiment of the necromancer who can unveil the passageway to the Grail. In divination, Key 18 is the spirit of resurrection. As Moses parted the seas and Jesus resurrected Lazarus, this is the key of a climactic miracle. Of the 7 mystic arts in Renaissance magic, the 3s and the minors correspond with 4 of the mystic arts: pyromancy, hydromancy, aeromancy, and geomancy. The remaining 3 are found in the majors. Here, Key 18 paired with Key 15 together are associated with the dark arts, demonology, and necromancy. So the key affirms sublimation of the shadow and light. Here, Key 18, the necromancer is the primary gateway of the shaman. After building the inner temple of the necromancer, the initiate will be fully ready for the lower and upper realms of spirits. The principal theme I wanted to express here is distinguishing the life of the imagination apart from the life of spirit, as noted by Waite. The jackals are a reference to Anubis, while the scarab beetle is a reference to Capri, and they symbolize the contrast between that which is the light and that which is in the dark. The exoteric and esoteric. Capri is also solar light, and the moon is but a reflection of solar light. The scarab close to the moon is emblematic of that illusion. When we see moonlight, we are looking at sunlight. Of the majors, Key 18 varies the most historically in terms of deck creator interpretation. What remains generally consistent: a crescent moon, water imagery, canine reference, twin pillars to indicate a gateway, dewdrops of heaven, and an anthropod, crayfish, scarab beetle, etc. So in my rendering, those themes remain. So yeah, she, like I said, and there's more, girl. She puts a lot of detail into these things. There are some things that this deck can be used for that honestly I'll never get into, but that's fine. It's very, it's like you can sort of take it as deep as you want to, I guess. In Pictorial Key, Waite notes that the moon is increasing on what is called the side of mercy, to the right of the observer. Likewise, here in the Necromancer, the scarab is flight rightward. The pathway depicted in the moon card of the Rider-Waite-Smith, and here in Key 18, suggests heading into the unknown, with the emotional expression of the moon card and tarot intended to evoke fear. The dog and the wolf are fears of the natural mind, saith Waite. This is the card of mystery and the animal nature in us that comes out when we succumb to fear or have to face the unknown. In the Book of Thoth, Crowley notes that the moon card designates midnight. I read that as a metaphor for the dark night of the soul. Like Waite, Crowley sees key 18, the moon card, as sinister and forbidding. This is the threshold of life. This is the threshold of death. All is doubtful. All is mysterious. To me, this designation for key 18 expresses the cyclic nature of life and death, and therefore the key is the gateway of resurrection. The uninitiated masses are wise to fear the implications of key 18, and so in fortune telling. The moon card is typically foreboding, with its grave, ominous messages of uncertainty and illusions. Yet to the initiated, the moon card has the stark opposite of meanings. To the initiated who understands the principle of rhythm and cycles, there is nothing uncertain or illusory about the moon. It's just that some of the truth remains concealed at the moment. Key 18 in Spirit Keeper is the key of the shaman, because when the seeker is confronted with this card, the divinatory message is to enter the underworld, submerge yourself into the deep of the dark waters, to witness what is underneath. Ooh, that was a lot. That was a lot. And after all of that, what sticks out to me the most is the balance between life and death. Because here in this card, in the Four of Swords, it's the Angel and the Reaper. It's Temperance and the Death card. But the Death's scythe has become a sword. And so there is a little bit of in-between energy here. It's like the energy of something that can't die, but it isn't alive either. Something stuck in between. And with this gate of resurrection and then the angel, it's like it's going to emerge. Maybe this is this energy. This is Jupiter in Libra, Pisces, and Sagittarius. That's a lot of Jupiter. That's all Jupiter. And then Libra. And Libra is that, it's the masculine. Ooh, look. Jupiter at the bottom of the deck. Jupiter and Leo at the bottom of the deck with the Six of Wands. Hey, Eve. How you doing today? Dun, dun, dun. I guess I'm not too surprised to see the underworld, though. And again, it's this light from darkness energy, that Lux ex tenebra that has been prevalent lately. All this Jupiter. What? Libra came out because it was like, where was that though? Where was it? Also, like, we see the window in one of these towers of the moon card, right? It's also reminding me of the window here. And so it's like she's peeking out, observing us as we're in this sort of process of, honestly, with this Four of Swords, it feels like staying mentally. It's the space of a foundation. And it reminds me of, dreams are weird, but I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm glad to hear that you're good. It's like it's the same thing since like yesterday. It's just trying to like, and it's some time thing. I don't know. But it feels like, so the angel is in the window observing us as we have been in this period where transformation has maybe been a little slow, where major arcana transformation is slow, right? Death is taking a break right now. And so all of the transformation that needs to be done, it's like it's almost on us. And we can choose to keep healing, and we could have chosen to continue along our journey, or we could have chosen to, like, whatever we chose is what we chose. We've been observed in this position. It reminds me of when I said, when the box started coming out, all the box in the forest last year around March, April, it was like there's a fog that's going to fall in the forest, and we're all in the forest. The fog is coming down because we've been sort of like subjected to these weird, like hologrammy, illusion-y things, and we're manifesting like clarity and stuff like that. And so, like, the fog disrupts light. And so the weird overlay is disrupted, but also, like, other lights are also disrupted. That's why we need to find our own light, and from inside the fog, we sort of radiate outward. And it was the energy of like those who find their way out of the forest before the fog lifts will find themselves in a space of mastery. This is that energy. Because these two, this is us being observed in the maze, in the fog, when things were sort of like real rough. And then depending, the angel sort of steps forward, no longer observing through the window, but now coming to greet you sort of personally. And whatever she bestows upon you is what she bestows upon you. And it reminds me, because it mentioned the emperor somewhere in this key, or when I was reading all of that, it mentioned the emperor. And it reminds me of that emperor energy that's like waiting to hand something over, or like finding a successor. It's not necessarily a successor, but it's like that energy. Oops. This is the second one. These are always so much. Oh, it's not even been half an hour yet. Okay, nice. Third bell, please. We'll take this one. Ooh. There's the fourth bell. There's the fifth bell. There's the sixth bell. There's the seventh bell. Let's take that one. And then the eighth bell. There we go. Ooh, the eighth bell is the Ace of Cups. I love that because it said that the moon leads us to the Holy Grail. Well, there's the Holy Grail, the Ace of Cups. Or the Necromancer. For the initiated, it carries a different energy. For the initiated, for the shaman, this journey into the underworld, it's nothing. I don't want to say it's nothing of challenge, but it's doable, right? And what makes it all the more doable is the fact that we've already, I guess it's like we've already had the opportunity to go into our own personal underworlds. And if we've done it, then this won't be too much different. I mean, it probably will be different, but it's like if you've done it, like you can do it again type of energy. So the first bell at the start of the watch is the Four of Wands. What? We start with the Four of Wands and end with the Ace of Cups? This energy is gorgeous. Bottom of the deck is the Six of Wands. Six of Wands at the bottom of the deck again. Jupiter and Leo. So that energy is echoed and mirrored. What's this card? The Fool. I don't know when this would have started. But with the Four of Wands is a card of celebration. The Four of Wands is a card of us coming to some sort of, and like take it as it resonates wherever you are in your journey. It's a card of us sort of meeting spirit in some way. The Six of Pentacles is us like building that relationship in a way. Like this feels very much so like before things really started to happen. This is a place in the position that we got to, that we reached. Then with the Three of Cups, it brings in an energy of community, finding like-minded, like-hearted individuals that we can sort of like engage in this space with. And then comes the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands brings, it's all about the ego here. The Knight of Wands, I believe it's the Knight of Wands. I forget, but I'm pretty sure it's the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is my pre-strength card. Seven of Wands is my minor strength card. So then, after all this, we have an opportunity to move from a pre-strength energy to a full strength energy. And with the Eight of Pentacles, it's something that was practiced, something that was sort of not performed, but we got like better and better and better at it because we engaged in it more and more and more. Again, there is a sort of like ego that arises here though. And it's this ego in almost like in a shared space, but I feel like this is separate, right? Because you could be in this shared space and then like everything is good until you start to compare. Once you start playing the comparison game, then it causes you to be sort of shaky in your foundation. And then with strength, like this is you coming into whatever is yours. And that's the thing about the Three of Cups, that each one comes with their own thing. This is where you discover it and sort of like build it out and kind of sort of like put your foundation in that. And then we have the Eight of Pentacles, the Fool, and the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups, it feels like that Holy Grail. The Ace of Cups also feels like a less burdened, a less distanced relationship with spirit, or the realm of spirit, or more subtle and intuitive energies or whatever, right? And the thing about the Fool is that it doesn't require us to abandon common sense. It requires us to have more trust, more belief, more faith in spirit than we have like limitation or fear or repetition, right? And it's very interesting because it's like in some ways we have to build everything up and then we abandon it. And it's not that we abandon the things, but it's like the things, what the things taught us was very sort of basic, very fundamental. There was something that it built this trust. But with the Eight of Pentacles energy, it's like it's building trust in areas where it's easier for us to trust, where it's easier for us to believe. And this echoes a lot of like this energy in particular. Because it's because of this, now we have all of these like examples, we have all these scenarios, all these situations, all of this evidence, all of this proof that spirit is present, is listening, and can guide us into spaces that we never would have imagined we'd be in, out of predicaments and situations that maybe we didn't think we could get out of. It's like all of this was to build faith, it was to build trust. And now the question at the Fool is like, do you have trust enough to venture into the unknown more brazenly? Do you have trust enough to venture into the unknown without everything sort of being pre-proven to you? And more so than just trust and faith, it's this energy as well. I guess it's these three. So we'll hold it up like this. The Three of Cups, the Knight of Wands, and then the Strength card. It's like, can you be trusted to be a cooperative component in a dynamic that involves the input of many? Can you sort of build yourself out into all that you are? Can you know what it is that is yours so that you know how like you can contribute? You know how you can contribute. You know where you sort of fit in because you know what you do and you know what you don't do. And the conquering of the ego in here is like you, again, it's that comparison thing that could exist, that can start to form here. It's like you not trying to be something that you're not. You admitting when something is beyond you or isn't for you, and leaving that to those for which it is like their arena. It is them. Because sometimes it's like, we don't want to seem like we're less spiritual or that we're less knowledgeable or whatever. Or we don't want to be left behind, and so we kind of sort of start to echo what everyone else is saying. Or we latch on to someone that we sort of respect and someone that we look at as a spiritual leader, a spiritual guru, or whatever. And then we start to more so adapt what they say and try to make that sort of like work for us. It's like we grow up in their box, we develop in their box, rather than growing and developing in our own right. And it's a very sort of precarious, I guess, situation or place to be in. But again, it's like we have to allow ourselves the opportunity to grow into who we are. And so, if you hear me talking about like, this ain't me, that ain't me, this person ain't for me, it's not to like try to diminish what people do and to like take away from their spaces where they can help serve and heal and guide and whatever. Because I know that there are people who like that is for. It's just not for me. And there are some things that it's like I can listen and I can sort of like observe, I guess, but I'm not gonna, like, if it doesn't resonate for me to take in for myself personally, then I'm not going to give it much time, energy. I'm not gonna do that. If it doesn't feel like me, I'm not gonna invest myself into it. I'll leave that to the people who it's for. And then if something needs to be done in that space, they can do that. And I can do the things that I do in my space, right? And it's not to be closed off at all, even though it may sound like it. Overall, this is gorgeous. Like the most interesting, I guess, points would be this transition. I guess first of all, this transition from the Three of Cups into the Knight of Wands, because the Knight of Wands isn't necessarily the most cooperative energy. It can be very, very self-serving and self-focused. But then we get called out of that into strength. And then this Eight of Pentacles, depending on the person, could be a little bit like, oof, like that's a lot. And it's like all of this has been this watch, right? This is the end of one watch. From the moment you come into a space of celebrating with spirit, or it's like this is a mile marker, this is a milestone that you hit with spirit. This is that sort of give and receive open relationship. Maybe this is open relationship. Give and receive vulnerability in a relationship. That's what I meant. With the Three of Cups, like this could be you and other people. This could be you in spirit. And then again, like the ego sort of comes in, and whatever flavor the ego comes in with this Knight of Wands. And it's a minor strength because, or it's a pre-strength because it's like there are certain traumas, I guess, that we go through that we can look at in a certain way. And from those traumas, we can pull strength. Right, I'm never going to allow this to happen to me again, and like do this and do that, and like navigate the world this way, navigate the world that way. And then it sort of puts us in this, at the very least, like a self-protective, self-defense mode, so that if we're ever called into a space where we feel vulnerable, if we have unresolved traumas, then it becomes all about us. It becomes less about everyone around us, and all of a sudden we're not a team player, and everyone else is like, whoa, what's happening? But there's a lot that happens in between this Knight of Wands and the Strength card that isn't on the table. But that's however you come into strength on your own. Right? And then after you come into a strength, this Eight of Pentacles is establishing that strength. And so in this Eight of Pentacles, there's a lot of healing. There's a lot of undoing traumas that sort of keep us in that Knight of Wands position. And then there's also a lot of like evolution. And there's a lot of practice that puts us more into a major arcana, sort of more absolute strength energy. And then after we're strong, then that's when we can really take the plunge. Oh, I just had that card. It was taking the plunge into an ice cold tank, the dissolution of self, integration and separation. And here's the Ace of Cups. That card came about because one day last year, the Ace of Cups came out, and it felt like it was the Ace of Cups and the King of Cups, Archangel of Healing. And it felt like this sort of like spiritual deprivation tank where we step in and the different facets of ourselves, everything that we've taken in is sort of like separated out. Like we dissolve into the water. And then we reconstruct ourselves with the things that are us, outside of everything that like has been projected onto us, outside of all of the defense mechanisms, outside of the trauma and stuff like that. We come into a more self. And we embrace all of self, our light and our dark, right? And our shadow, because we got those two since we're down here. But it's us. And then from that us space, from the self, we sort of go forward. It also reminds me of, it's like when you take the hermit's lantern down internally. If that lantern was given to you by someone else, you can only take it so far. Eventually, there are these sort of things within self that you have to take on to explore further or to go deeper. So, 42 minutes, still not an hour. Let's go. This is interesting, though. And I'm not even gonna... What I am noticing, though, is that this angel has 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on land. And so it carries this same energy of like being in between worlds. And also because the Four of Wands is depicted in this way, or the Four of Swords is depicted in this way, this one also carries an energy. It's like this is like being between life and death, almost. So in this deck, the angel wears a sash that has the mutable elements on it. As you can see, there you go. And right now, like we're headed into a mutable season. The nodes are mutable right now. This eclipse is about to be on the nodes. Well, there. Oh, look! The moon in Sagittarius. This could be like full moon Sagittarius eclipse energy. Jupiter and Libra. Jupiter's in Pisces right now. So Jupiter, or Libra and Pisces, like in conjunct. They're in conjunct. They're 5 signs away. And that, it's like it can kind of sort of play out either like more positively or more negatively depending on the individuals. It's like with an in conjunction, or at least from my perspective and limited experience, it's something that can work really well, but you have to be more conscious in that space. Or you have to communicate more. You have to be more vulnerable in that space, because it could be very easy for it to also fall into the not so great territory. And I guess also it sort of depends on natural alignments and natural sort of like attunement as well, right? Like if this was a person, if you have a lot in common, or if you share a lot of similar core values and beliefs, then it would be fairly easy to navigate that space. It can kind of sort of play out either way. But anyway, that's where I'm going to end this. I don't know. I feel like there's no real resolution here, but that's fine because, you know, we all choose. We all choose. Yeah, and I don't remember where exactly these two came out, but I remember seeing the angel in the window, and then the actual angel popped out. This time, though, again, we have to sort of like open the veil between worlds, which I feel like shouldn't be surprising with some of the stuff that's been coming out lately. What's at the top of the deck? The Eight of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles. Yeah, see that's it's this feeling of like something in the experience changing like drastically. But it's built off of something that's already occurred, something that's already happened. However, inadvertently or advertently, if that's a word. So final card. Oh, girl, that's a lot. That's a lot. I'm not taking all that. But what I am gonna do, I see the Emperor, so we're gonna take it. The Two of Swords, Blind Seer, is at the bottom of this stack. On the other side, I see Gemini as well. We just entered Gemini season. Is the Dynasty. Mercury in Virgo and the Moon in Libra. So the Hollow Void, Moon in Cancer, is the card that came out. This year we're going to have two Leo full moons. Last year we had two Cancer new moons. And one of them was the solar eclipse last year. What is this? What? There's a scorpion here. I've never noticed that. I'm looking in the tree. I'm like, wait, what is that? There's a scorpion up in the branches. Y'all see that? So there's another death energy in this four. So the Hollow Void came out. The Keeper was at the top of the stack. The Keeper is the awakened fool, it's the enlightened fool, it's the fool who's made her trip from the magician to the world, and she's incorporated what she needed at every single step along the way. So she's like really about it. Then we have the Archangel of Glory, and the Erudite, and the Emperor, and the Joyous One. So this is King of Wands, the Hermit, the Emperor, and the Ten of Cups. Honestly, after you reach a certain position in your journey, after you reach a certain point in your journey, I want to read this because it's giving me vibes of the angel who has been observing in this Four of Swords period, who watches us as we approach the Moon card, as we approach that which sort of separates this world and others, and then who makes herself known in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And it reminds me of her because in the Initiate, the Annealer pops out, or in the Keeper, the Initiate greets the Fool. The Annealer greets the Fool. Oh, look, the Fool and the Keeper. There we go. If you were curious what kind of Keeper this is. And every time the Keeper comes out, like, honestly, like, I'm not the type of person, I don't want to say I'm not for everybody, but I'm not for everybody. And it's not my intention to be. I don't want to be. I'm not too keen on like reading the same thing over and over, and it always sort of being a message of like, okay, well, what do you need to do in this situation? Are you doing what you need to do in this situation? Are you healing? Are you doing that? And especially last year, after everything sort of started happening, then my focus like really shifted to like, even if no one sees anything that I do, someone has to ask these questions of people who are quote unquote spiritual. And it's like, can we think a little bit more critically? Because it seems like a lot of times there may be some who, just like a hierophant, I guess, it's like they'll put us in a position of power or they'll help us uncover a bit of our power, but then we somehow end up giving it to them instead of holding on to it ourselves. And then our development becomes, it's like whenever I see people in other people's comment sections and they're like, oh, I've been waiting for you to give a message. I've been so lost. Like, why aren't you uploading? Are you not doing this sign? It triggers me. It triggers me because I'm like, I don't want people to be dependent on me for their own spiritual journey. Because like, this is your journey. That should be your relationship. And then it's like, well, why do I pull cards at all? I don't know, girl. Because somebody got to ask these questions. But yeah, I don't want that. I'm not interested in that. Like, I have my own life to live, and I can't make everyone like, when it comes to like making other people's decisions, I'm not a fan of that. And I feel like it can be difficult to empower people in spaces like this, especially if you're someone that they view as, yeah, especially if you're someone that they view as knowledgeable, and if you're someone that they view as like a senior to them in some regard, right? Then it's like, I understand that. And I understand like the whole thing is just like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not about that. I have no interest in that. It, like, I find myself naturally repulsed by that. So if ever I see it or I start to feel it, then I'll probably pull away a little bit, because it's like, it's not for you to be dependent or reliant upon me to get you a message or to tell you something that you already know. And I know that sometimes we need confirmation, but sometimes we just need to do it. Because if you're always needing confirmation, then like, how much slower is your journey going to be? And at what point is the divine enough for you to go, okay, like, I'll start to do this? And I know that, we all have resistance in certain areas for certain reasons. Like, I have my resistances, like, don't get me wrong. And it is helpful sometimes to like have that, because there are sometimes it's like we can be so close to something and we can hold so much resistance, or we can hold so much desire in a space that it can be very easy for us to sort of like misinterpret or hyper focus on some things and not pay as much attention to other things. And it's not that other people, one second, hold up. I gotta go to the restroom. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. And also, like, another reason why I prefer not to be like someone's first contact into the foray of what is their spiritual journey, is because I know that I'm not the type of person that, it's not that I can't have the patience, but I just typically don't. Like, I'm not, like, not everyone should be a teacher, and like, not everyone can teach like grade school, and not everyone can teach like high school, right? Or college. And I'm not wired to be that sort of like early whatever, unless it's a certain type of person, because I guess that's not true. Because there are or have been a few people, I guess, who were like more novice to their journey, who I actually worked fairly well with. But also, like, I already knew those people. I'm also the type of person, it's like, I'd rather know somebody, because everyone is different and we're all taught different. And what would be advice for one person wouldn't necessarily be sound advice for a different person, right? Like, if you're not a super active person, if you're more introspective and reflective, then you may like benefit more from internal activities rather than external activities. I don't know. I just don't like, I am where I am. And for all the people who are where they are, doing what they do, for those that they do it for, I applaud and celebrate and salute them, because it's not a space for me. And that's fine. So let's see. I only want to read the parts of the annealer. Ooh, transition between worlds. We're reading it. We're going to read the whole thing again. I'm going to read the whole thing again. Right. This is the astral self in communion with God. Through paneled doors, the keeper readies to cross the threshold and meet the annealer, who appears near translucent to the keeper prior to crossing that threshold. The annealer is an alchemical beneficent spirit. In alchemy, the process of annealing is to take metal or glass, heat it, and then allow it to cool methodically and gradually, so that the process itself eradicates internal stresses in the material and thereby strengthens the metal or glass. The result is strength through flexibility, because the alchemized material becomes so malleable it is less easily destroyed. That energy came out recently. It was like there's like this hot period and a cool period, and sometimes we don't want to go through the cool periods. And it was recently, I don't know. Anyway, visible in the foreground after the threshold is the hand of one of the annealer's faithful attendants. Upon the hand is perched a raven. To some keepers, the raven will appear white. To others, the raven will appear black. To guard certain types of journeys, it is the white raven that will appear by your side. For others, it will be the black raven. The raven here is the keeper's guardian spirit, protecting you through your transitions and journeys between worlds. Thus, Key 0, the keeper card, is a talisman for safe astral or psychic travel through the other realms. The two rosebuds from Key 0, the seeker, are now in full bloom and hanging from the two top corners of this card. Just below each are white doves, and at the bottom foreground rising is a third. The presence of the Holy Triune, the many names of the Holy Spirit. The dove also calls to mind the Ace of Chalices, portending a divine prophecy to the keeper. Excuse me. This is the mystic fool, a spirit in petition of spirits. Use the keeper as Key 0 in the tarot deck when engaging in spirit contact. This is used by the seasoned practitioner of the craft to empower the tarot deck as calling cards for the roster of spirits embodied within the sigils and seals of these cards. While the seeker card is used for communion with the divine in the sense of a monad, the keeper card is used to contact and seek service from the population of the spirit realm. Use this embodiment of the mystic fool when what is sought is the petitioning of spirits to assist the keeper. Yeah, so It was at like transition. It was meeting the annealer. It was the raven. That's the keeper. Oh, so warm. And then the Archangel of Glory is here. King of Wands, the Angel of Art and Grace. This card had an energy. It was like the light that you embody is the light that you embody is the signal itself, I guess. Because it's a card of like heralding, right? With the horn, with the trumpet, like the angel and the justice card, like Gabriel energy, right? But it's like this is a wand that he's not holding it. And it's, I don't know, it's just this energy of like, it's very like natural. It's a very hands-off process. It's inherent to the energy that you embody, I guess. And then we have the erudite, and this is that Luke's ex tenebris, light from darkness sort of energy. And then like navigating the realm of light and dark, we've already seen in the necromancer. And then after that, we have the emperor. So this to me, it's talking about how there are certain, I think I'm going to speed through the rest of these and just see what's in here. Oh, wow. Ooh, those are some cards. It's that energy of like the emperor looking to hand over what was given to him as he goes and he sort of reunites with divine feminine energy. And when things are quantumly connected, a change in one produces an immediate and like reflective change in the other. And so if divine masculine energy fell and became toxic or earthly in whatever nature, then the same would have been echoed and mirrored onto divine feminine energy, at least in this space. Now outside of this space, it's like if you go far enough, then they're still whole and pure and operate and function as they always have been. But here in this space where gravity can sort of warp and distort things, they've both been distorted. Or it's like the fact that one isn't serving in the way that it was meant to means that the other almost can't either. And so to receive this, because one of the things, oh look, I don't know what it is. What's this like pinnacle thingy that the emperor always has? I know he holds the Ankh as a gift from the empress. But it's like we have to sort of be well established, well balanced enough in both to receive these. Then we have the Ten of Cups joyous one, the Ivory shield, the Golden shield, Queens of Wands and Cups, the Six of Swords, the Initiate, and Sacred Cinnabar. So the Ten of Cups is coming in as that space where both energies can sort of exist in a harmonious manner to a point where it's like they are what lies in the moat when it's shifting from like positive to negative, from light to dark, and then it's causing a subsequent shift in the outside, and the space maintains the potential. Now here, the Ebony shield and the Ivory shield, this is sort of the gateways between the self and the soul, between like the recognized self, I guess, and the greater part of who we are. And for me, when it comes, like, the soul is the soul is the soul. Fire cannot be less than what it is. It can appear bigger depending on our proximity to it. We can feel more of it, again, depending on our proximity to it, but it always is what it is. It's like light. But water is sort of how we navigate within self to find that. Water is when things sort of take on a context because of our emotional experiences in this world and how we sort of like don't or do the things that lead us to whatever places they lead us to. Right. And then we have the Six of Swords, the Initiate, and Sacred Cinnabar. This initiate, though, feels like we can be the keeper in a more like spiritual sense, but when it comes to like actually embodying this in the world in a way that can more influence and impact our experience, we're going to be new to that. And it's going to be important to hold on to a larger perspective with the universal Mercury held by the ferryman in this card. And with the sacred cinnabar, I always look at how far the crown is from the cross guard of a sword, because this is where your hand goes. And there's the crown. So if it's that close to your hand, it's something that we can have like basically a working knowledge of. And some decks, the crown is above the sword. And with the crown being that far from our hand, a lot of times I'll see that as like, this is something that's going to be really new for us that we're probably not. It's like it's a knowledge and information that we'll have, but we may not know like how to use it or where it applies or what it even means. This is something that's more practical in some way. And then the discerning one, 2 of Wands, the contender, 5 of Wands, the joined one, 2 of Cups, and the malaise, 9 of Wands. I feel like as we come upon or as we come into this new space, we can either have this contender, combative energy, or this joined one, cooperative energy. Oh, look, Moon in Sagittarius, 9 of Wands, the malaise. Oops. Card just fell. The last 3 cards, it's the demon, the warrior, and the lovers. And this is basically, see what this is in some ways. It's a little bit of the energy of like once you know more, or once you know better, you're responsible for doing better. This up here is the discovery of some kind of power and authority within self, right? And then this is how we sort of try to leverage and manage that to put ourselves in an empowering position. The 6 of Swords is how like the way that we navigate and traverse through life is different. With the initiate, it's new. With the sacred cinnabar, it's all of this information that we're trying to sort of integrate and then use. Now, when we come down here with the discerning one, the contender, the joined one, and the malaise, this is the space where we've come into an increased power of our belief. And so it's important for us to be aware of what we fuel with that belief. And that's this energy, right? The lovers is an energy of reciprocity. So whichever you choose to believe in, wherever you choose to place your power, you're going to be met. And you can place it in the warrior and the sun card that empowers you, or you can place it in the demon. You can be convinced to believe in things, give your power over to things, subscribe to things that don't really benefit you, that keep you sort of where you are, and that feed off of energies like yours, right? Everything is sort of powered on belief. And you can make it, you can put yourself, I mean, you can either come into your power in a way that puts you in a position of power and authority, or you can do what you want with it, right? It's yours. And I don't know if like, oh, well, like this person, like they lied to me, or like they did this or they did that, because it's like, well, as the sovereign being that you are, you should be more aware of who and what you give your power to. And again, it's almost that energy of like, there will be some energies that will put you in your power, or that will help you get a certain amount of your power, only for you to turn around and give it back to them. Like, yeah. That was a lot. Okay. Oh, gosh, no. Absolutely not. Not doing another 10 cards. Ooh, the Corruptor. 7 of Cups. Bottom of the deck is the Scarlet Shield, the Queen of Swords. this, I want to say it's like spiritual sense. With the corruptor, like this, it's very easy. Like in this deck, it represents the different seven deadly sins, right? And it can be easy for us to sort of fall prey to one of them and then be more easily manipulated or maneuvered in a certain way. But with the Queen of Swords, it's like what makes spiritual sense, what doesn't make spiritual sense. It's not necessarily spiritual sense, it's also a knowing of self, right? So if you know where you naturally fall, then it's almost like you can be better prepared to not be as taken advantage of in those situations. Or it's like you can cut out. It's an excision energy. It's cutting out, but it's cutting out through the power of knowledge and through the power of awareness, right? Knowledge and awareness don't necessarily hold as much weight in the realm of water, because it's like, well, all I got to do is trigger you emotionally, and then you'll buy into anything, regardless of whether you know it's like something that you should do or not. It happens all the time, right? We get angry, we get upset, we get like we feel like we're losing out or missing out or something, and so we act out of character. And it's like, yeah, don't do that. Oh, look! The Angel, Temperance, and the Sun. Who at the bottom of the deck? Justice. Love that. Love that. I feel like that's self-explanatory enough. So with that, I bid y'all adieu. I hope you have a good whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that you are being critical in the areas that you need to be critical in. I hope you're being aware of, or you coming into an awareness of like where you put your belief, and if where you put your belief truly empowers you or not. And I'll catch y'all soon-ish. All right, bye.